Hey everyone, it's Dave and Olive. Thanks for joining us here at Book Blather, where we try to have a little fun while we talk about the books we've read recently to help spread the joy of reading. Today, we've got some books to review. Okay everyone, welcome back. It's been a hot minute. Sometimes life makes it easy to get behind on making videos, but we're back today. It's been a couple weeks, and during that time, we've read a few books, and so we wanted to bring you the latest When We're Ready wrap up. So today we have three different books that we've read recently, all very different, all three different genres. So we'll jump right into it. So the first one that we read is Roadside Picnic. This is by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky. So the book actually has pretty interesting publication history. This was published originally in 1972, but it was published, in Russian. And originally it was published, this book is in 4 different parts. So it was originally published in a sequence of issues of a magazine called Aurora, something like that. It was a Soviet literary magazine. And so it was published in those issues in 1972. Pretty much in its original form, but then when the brothers tried to produce it in a book form, or get it produced in a book form, it had a lot of trouble. It encountered a lot of resistance, government rejection, and censorship, and so it was like a long, arduous 8-year process for them to try to get it published in book form. Finally, they did in 1980 in this, it was like an anthology. I think the title, if I remember correctly, was Unintended Meetings or something like that. So they finally got it published, and it was in a very censored, highly edited form. And so that's the way it existed for a while. Ultimately, it got translated, and it was restored to its original form. And so I think about 10 years ago it was retranslated in English. It's been translated in like over 20 countries now, I think, and restored to the original form. But it is a well-known, widely acclaimed science fiction novel. It formed the basis for a movie called Stalker in 1979, and I understand it's influenced like a bunch of different video games and other media, but I don't really know much about that. But what the story is about is the setting is there has been an alien visitation, and these aliens basically they're gone now, but they had visited 6 different areas that are called zones. And so this story centers around one particular zone and mostly one particular character by the name of Red. And what's interesting about these zones is basically they've been cordoned off. The aliens came, after the aliens left, they had impacted these particular zones in significant ways. Number one, they had left a lot of detritus, and that's part of where the name Roadside Picnic comes from. It's almost as like the aliens came and had a picnic, and there's an analogy made by a character in the book that it's almost as if a bunch of humans went into the woods and had a picnic and then just left. What they had done to that environment, how would that be viewed by the woodland creatures that then come out of the woods after the humans are gone? And they would find a bunch of different garbage, leftover used batteries, soda cans, maybe an oil filter, different things like that, and they wouldn't know what to make of them. And there would be impacts to the environment, right? Like maybe there would have been a campfire, so some of the ground is scorched, and some of the, there's, Jeep tracks in the mud and things like that. So that's basically, the effect that these aliens had. That they affected these areas and probably completely indifferent to it, maybe didn't even know that we were here. And so these zones now are different people are trying to go into the zones. Number one, they have all these alien artifacts in there that are highly valuable. But these areas are also very dangerous. They have a lot of different types of, like substances in them, maybe slime or certain areas that are inexplicably impacted, and they've impacted the people too, in different ways. The people that were in that area. So I won't go too much more into that, so as not to ruin it. But so we have this zone, and we follow this main character called Red, who the zone is. The government tries to manage it there's this entity called the Institute, and they try to control who goes in and out. There are also these individuals called Stalkers who go in there illegally to try to acquire some of these valuable artifacts that they can sell on the black market. And Red at least starts off basically both as, he both goes in there legitimately as an agent for the Institute, but also kind of has a side hustle where he goes in and as a stalker, and he's basically one of the great stalkers. The book then is told, and like I said, there's 4 different parts where you see different parts of Red's life. Or different parts of multiple characters' lives over time, over the course of many years, and what happens with those people's careers and family. And so there's so this book is, like I said, very widely acclaimed, but I actually was somewhat confused by this book about a number of things. I didn't research literature on this book, so I'd love to hear any comments that people have about this. But there was a couple things about it that I found very confusing. I kind of only half liked this book because I didn't really know what to make of it. So number one, it was, originally it starts off with Red being very young, and then you see as different things happen to him as a result of going in the zone, and impacts on his family as he gets older, and then the changes that he makes later on. And of course he can never fully get away from the zone. And number one, I wasn't sure if the book was supposed to have somewhat of a Marxist message. It seemed to be some kind of commentary, but I'm not sure what exactly. It almost seemed like, Red runs into a lot of hardships and has a lot of failures as he goes through this over the course of the years, and it almost seemed to be a commentary on the failures of capitalism, because Red never seems to be able to make this work, and sort of particularly, I'm not going to spoil it, but particularly the way that the story ends, it kind of seems almost like it's a critique of capitalism, but not really sure if that's the case or not, because there's different characters that you see both working for the Institute and not, and just the way the story ends, there's not a clear message to it. So it seemed like the story was supposed to have some sort of socioeconomic message behind it, but I'm not sure what it was. And so if you've read this and you have thoughts on that, I'd love to hear what it is, because that really confused me. I thought there was a message, but didn't understand it. There was also the way the book was set up, and I think I was very confused about was the way the points of view in this book changed. Again, as I said, there was 4 sections. So the first section starts out from Red's perspective. So it's told in it's told in a present tense, from his sort of first person's perspective. And then when you go into the second section, which is further in the future, it's told more of in your traditional third-person narrative of what's happening to Red. And then, when you go into the third section, it's told more focused on a different character. Although Red continues to be an important character throughout. And so this sort of weird changing of the point of view and the narrative style throughout, again, I assume that there's a purpose to that, but I don't know, and I couldn't really figure it out. It's almost like the authors wanted you to become intimately familiar with Red, like right in the beginning, but then later just tell like a normal story. I'm not really sure, and so again, I'm kind of conflicted about it because I feel like there was probably some reason to that, but I don't know, and I don't know. For all I know, it could have just been sloppy storytelling because originally this was told in 4 different parts, and it was. I think it might have been written all at once. I don't know, but it was, like I said, it appeared in these different issues of the magazine. So I don't know. I'm really so. The end of the day, we did not love this book. It was okay, but I feel like part of that may have been some of our failings in really like understanding what this book was all about and some of the mechanisms that it was using or trying to use. So I feel like it's probably on us because, like I said, the book is pretty widely acclaimed, and so I hesitate to say that it was just like sloppy storytelling because these guys are pretty widely respected. So anyway, let us know in the comments below if you have some more thoughts about this book, because I've droned on about it enough, but I'm really confused about this one. All right, the next book we read is what? No, we're not having any more pizza. No, because the pizza's not. It's not good for you to eat that much pizza. So we're not having any more of that. Olive recently tried pizza, and that's all she talks about now. All she wants to do is eat pizza. You want to try a little piece of pizza? You want to try it? You like that? Oh, no more. Okay, the next book we read is Cuts by Richard Laymon. And this was a buddy read that we did with Pax Panic. So I'm not sure if her video will be up already, but when it goes up, we'll link her review below. But this is a horror novel, and this was published. So this leisure book. This is from 2008, but this was originally published in 1999. And this is a pretty violent horror that kind of follows. Most of the story is along 2 tracks. I guess what you would call the main character is this young guy, Albert. And Albert has a very, as you can tell from the cover, from the title, a very strange appetite that he is incredibly preoccupied with. So right in the beginning of the book, he has a very violent episode, goes on the run, but that does not prevent him from continuing to try to satisfy his appetite as he continues to be on the run and encounter different people. The other track in the book is it follows this group of people that mostly centered around some teachers that work together, but also their spouses and other people they're connected with. And that's sort of that's also sort of a little bit of scandalous goings on within that group, but a little more of a restrained adult version. But they have their own issues. There's some different among the different people. There's some different relationships happening, bad marriages and things like that. So there is some adult stuff happening, some scandalous stuff happening there. And so we follow these 2 different tracks for most of the book. And of course, I don't think it's a spoiler that obviously you're expecting that they're going to connect up at some point later on in the book. And so, but really this book was, this book was a very, very exciting, but very, very violent tale. So there's a lot of sex and violence in this one. Some of a more tame level and some of a very extreme nature. But I will say that the book, this was our first experience with Richard Laymon. So the writing mechanically was very good writing. And it was a very addictive story. There was constant switching back and forth, so seeing the different characters, constantly stuff happening. So the plot was very, very fast paced. So this was a very fun read. But you have to know going in that it's going to be very extreme, particularly all the stuff that relates to Albert's side of the story. Now, the one maybe criticism I would give of this is, again, this was our first Laymon book, so I don't know if Laymon always writes like this or not, but he seemed to be very, very enamored, and the writing seemed to be very, very enamored with the female body. So his writings seem to be very preoccupied with the female anatomy. It doesn't seem like this was a case where he was trying to just show you the perspective from inside of one individual's very disturbed head. It was pretty rampant throughout the book, and so I could see some people having trouble with it and thinking, despite the nature of the story and what it's supposed to be about, still thinking on top of that it's still a little bit sexist. So I'm not sure if that doesn't. I mean, it didn't, like most things, didn't bother us. We still enjoyed the story, but I could see that bothering some people. So that's the only thing that may turn you off if that sort of thing bothers you. But other than that, we really did, like I said, really did enjoy this book. It was pretty exciting, and yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. Okay, and the last one that we read was No Exit by Taylor Adams. And this is the Book of the Month version, but I picked this up used. But this was originally published in the UK in 2017, and was published here in the US in 2019, I believe, by William Morrow. Yes. And so this was a thriller. You may have heard of this one. It's a very popular thriller the last couple years. They just recently made a movie out of this on Hulu, which I've not watched yet, but I'm going to watch it. I'm pretty excited to watch it. Just wanted to read the book first. And so this was also a buddy read that we did with Talia, Bandana Book Mom, and Kelly. Kelly reads a lot. So when their videos go up, we'll link those below so you can check those out. But this story, this was a pretty addictive read. I can't remember the last time that I read a normal size book this fast. I absolutely blew through this. This tells the story of a college girl that is rushing home to see her mother. She's driving from Colorado to Utah, I think, and but just, anyway, she's in Colorado. She's going to visit. She just found out her mother is fatally ill, so she left college in a rush to try to get to her mother, and there's a blizzard. She's trying to beat this blizzard up in the mountains, and she doesn't, and so she gets stuck at a rest stop in the middle of this crazy snowstorm. And in this rest stop are a few other strangers that are also trapped there. And while she's there, she discovers a child in one of the cars in the parking lot, a kidnapped child. And so this begins her odyssey to try to, tactfully and safely figure out what's going on, who it is, what to do about it. Because they're all isolated with no help, can't even get a cell phone signal in this rest stop in the middle of nowhere in a snowstorm. So it is really, it's very atmospheric, because there's a lot inside and outside, and so it's one of these books you feel cold while you're reading it. And it was a wild ride. It was full of twists, and it was just nonstop action. And like I said, I honestly mean that I literally can't remember the last time that I blew through a book this quick. I couldn't put it down. It was really good. So, it's not a book that's destined to be a classic with any big message behind it. But if you're looking for a really fun, addictive thriller, this one we would highly recommend this one. Okay, so those are the three books that we read recently. Roadside Picnic by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky, Cuts by Richard Laymon, and No Exit by Taylor Adams. We are doing, December's upon us, so we are doing another buddy read for December. This one is called The Snow Child by, I don't know how to pronounce it, Ewan Ivey, I think is the author's name. This was published back in 2012. I wanted to read this for years. It was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. It's perfect for December, for the winter season. And it's about a childless couple that discovers each other living in the Alaskan wilderness and discover a child outside. And supposedly it's a great book, an emotional book, and we're pretty excited to read that. So if you're interested in joining us, the link to the Discord is below. You can either just read it along with us, or if you want to jump in the conversation or just be a passive viewer of the participation, hit the Discord link in the description below. If you're not familiar with Discord, like I was not that long ago, it's not intimidating at all. Just hit the link, you download the app, and it's easy. You'll see the threads for the different books that we talk about, and you can chat or not chat in the thread. And so I guess that's it for today. We'll be back. We were also thinking about doing some short videos. We have some hauls, tags. We were also thinking about doing some short videos we've been reading some short science fiction lately, in these sort of publications, like, these science fiction short stories, like Analog, Clark's World, that kind of stuff. And we were thinking about doing short videos on those because we've been into reading those regularly now. So let us know if that's something that people would be interested in, and we'll give that a try. Okay, so if you have any comments on any of these things, you've watched those movies, and the Stalker movie or the No Exit movie, or you've read these books, and you have any comments or advice on any of those, let us know in the comments. If you don't want to leave anything substantive, leave Olive a puppy emoji. She always likes to see those. As always, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you soon, but in the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.